Hello, and welcome back. My name is Jack B. And as always, thank you for viewing my video. There is a reason why the U.S. Constitution and other historical U.S. documents do not mention or support political parties. It has taken 250 years for the fears of our founders to come true. Our founders were adamantly against a party political system. The founders always viewed political parties as dangerous factions, threatening the legacy of the Revolution, and harmful to the ideals of good government and national interests. President George Washington was alarmed by the formation of two political parties during his second term. In his farewell address to the nation, he warned that the spirit of revenge, natural to party dissension, would lead to a frightful despotism in America. Today, it is painfully obvious that we have reached Washington's warning. The administration is, 1. Persecuting and prosecuting all people from both parties that have disagreed with the president. 2. Trying to change the storyline of recent events for history. 3. Providing presidential pardons for fellow billionaires and party supporters who are convicted felons. 4. Freeing the January 6, 2021 villainous rioters and traitors who violently broke into the Capitol, injured police officers, and chanted "Hang Pence." 5. Hiding the truth and relevant information from the American people, such as the Epstein files. 6. Isolating the U.S. from allies. 7. Supporting previous declared adversaries such as Putin. 8. Using the presidential office to secure ill-gotten money for the personal benefit of the presidential family. 10. Placing the Trump name on everything they can. The two-party political scene may have started during Washington's second term, but today's political parties started at different dates and were influenced for different reasons. The modern Democratic Party officially started in 1828, following the election of President Andrew Jackson. The party was formed from the remnants of Thomas Jefferson's original Democratic-Republican Party. The Republican Party was founded in 1854 by anti-slavery activists in response to the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed for the potential expansion of slavery into Western territories. The formation of these parties reflected the culture and society of the era. From 1795 to 1840, there was a major Protestant religious revival in the United States. It peaked during the 1820s and 1830s and was called the Second Great Awakening. This may have had not only an influence on voter turnout, but also for whom they voted. This movement resulted in three significant changes in American society and culture, which was reflected in views on the government. Number 1, the democratization of religion. Religion shifted away from the Calvinist belief in predestination. It emphasized instead that individuals had free will and could control their own salvation and destiny. Number 2, attendance in church services grew. Baptists and Methodists exploded in membership. They became the dominant denominations in America, an influential movement for candidates. Number 3, social reform. The religious fervor spilled into public life, fueling major antebellum reform movements like abolitionism, women's rights, public education, and temperance. During that period of time, the American people were never more attuned to their new freedom of choice and right to vote. They were eager to exercise it. My research indicates that 1840 had the highest voter turnout on record in the U.S. The voter turnout rate was 80%. During the 2024 election, approximately 58% of voting-aged Americans voted. In 2024, Trump received 49.81% of the popular vote, while his opponent received 48.34%. Trump won by a mere 1.47%. Based upon the voting results in 2024, it is clear we are an equally divided country. Being divided does not necessarily mean things are bad. It all depends on how we communicate and cooperate. Approximately 29.4% of all voting-age people voted for Trump. Therefore, less than 30% of the people elected Trump. Recently, Republicans started a gerrymandering frenzy to skew the votes in sectors to their favor. The practice of manipulating voting districts for partisan gain predates the U.S. England used rotten boroughs and similar pocket boroughs to control voting from the late 17th century until the system was abolished. The system ended with the passage of the Reform Act of 1832, which eliminated these corrupt districts and redistributed parliamentary seats to growing industrial cities. However, the term gerrymandering officially came into existence on March 26, 1812 in the U.S. It was coined in the Boston Gazette following a controversial redistricting bill signed by Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry. The act redrew state Senate districts to heavily favor his Democratic-Republican Party, producing a bizarre snaking district. A local political cartoonist added a head, wings, and claws to the district map, noting that the resulting shape resembled a mythical monster, dubbing it the gerrymander, a combination of Governor Jerry's name and the animal salamander. While there may be logical reasons based upon the national census every 10 years to revisit the districts, both parties use it in a corrupt manner. And this corrupt practice still goes on today in the U.S. Each party only cares about winning and lining their pockets with ill-gotten money. They don't care about providing the American people with what they need. There are just two fundamental differences between Democrats and Republicans, and they lie in their views on the role of the federal government and government in general. The Democrats favor a larger, more active government role in regulating the economy and expanding social programs. They want a large federal government footprint. The Republicans advocate for smaller government, lower taxes, and free market capitalism. These core differences shape the policies and platforms of each party. Democrats are aligned with modern liberalism, prioritizing social equality, environmental protection, and community well-being. A larger federal government footprint means more taxes. Democrats generally favor, number one, progressive taxation where higher earners pay a larger percentage to fund social safety nets, public education, infrastructure, and health care programs. Number two, favor expanding government-backed and regulated health care options. Number three, focus on social issues such as expanding civil rights, protecting reproductive freedom, and addressing systemic inequalities. Number four, they advocate to protect the environment and to push for aggressive government policies and regulations to combat climate change and transition to renewable energy sources. Republicans are generally aligned with modern conservatism, emphasizing individual liberty, limited government intervention, and traditional values. A smaller federal government means less taxes. Republicans generally favor, number one, a smaller federal footprint, which results in lower taxes for both individuals and corporations. In addition, they advocate for deregulation, which they believe will stimulate economic growth and job creation. Number two, they favor reducing federal spending. Number three, they advocate for a strong military defense and prioritize national security. Number four, they often take a traditionalist approach on social issues, emphasizing religious freedom, the protection of the Second Amendment, and stricter controls on immigration. Today, both political parties shape their storyline around the two previously mentioned fundamental items. They embellish the benefits of their own party and diminish those of the opposition. They both create division and demonize the other party. They rarely specify their plans for the good they claim they will provide. Of course, they lie to win. They also manipulate the state's voting districts to stay in power to further their goals. Needless to say, one needs a map and playbook to get past their misdirections. Both political parties are focused on themselves and ignoring America's issues. One major issue, which ought to be addressed in a bipartisan manner, is the national debt. The debt reflects the inability of our political parties to be diligent, set priorities, and be financially responsible. We can't keep writing checks on accounts that have zero balance. Both parties need to agree upon the priorities and what we will spend. Both political parties have contributed to the national debt. The Democrats accumulated higher overall debt. The Republicans added slightly more debt per presidential term on average. Because Congress controls the budget, debt accumulation is ultimately the result of combined legislative and executive actions. Democratic administrations have accumulated more total inflation-adjusted debt overall, primarily because they have held the presidency for 9 more years than Republicans since 1913. Republican administrations have added more debt per 4-year term on average. Deficit increases under Republicans are typically attributed to a combination of large-scale tax cuts, increased defense spending, and economic interventions during recessions. The most significant spikes in the national debt have been driven by extraordinary bipartisan actions. These include financing major conflicts, such as the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, funding massive economic stimulus packages during the 2008 financial crisis, and passing trillions in relief aid during the COVID-19 pandemic. When you get right down to brass tacks, all 349 million American citizens are a special interest group unto themselves. They all have needs that relate to economic and health requirements. They all should be viewed and treated equally. Unfortunately, the story is the same through the history of humans. It's those who have and those who don't have, and those who want what others have. So I ask the question, is the two-party system working for all citizens in the U.S.? The law does not state that there must be a two-party system. In fact, again, political parties are not even mentioned in the U.S. Constitution. third parties and independent candidates can and do run. However, the institutional and legal barriers make it extremely difficult for them to win major national elections. I am neither advocating for a third party nor for having no parties at all. My next questions are, do the people control the government, or do the political parties control the government? And if political parties control the government, do billionaire donors control the parties? People are only able to vote for whomever each party nominates for president. They provide the candidates that best meet their party's needs, not the people's. The parties also align state voting districts to benefit their party and block the other party. It appears the two-party system can control the masses and preserve the party's wealth. Their excuse for a two-party system is that they are a means to maintain order and prevent anarchy. In summary, there is too much hyperbole, misdirection, and nonsense in politics today. And one consistent human characteristic is that people with similar ideas will always group together. The people have always been the cornerstone of the U.S., starting with "We the People" in the preamble of the U.S. Constitution. Our two-party political system has moved us away from the people controlling the government. They now openly cater to their billionaire donors who are controlling the government and thereby controlling the people. By the way, this is true of both Democrats and Republicans. It seems to me that to be truly a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, each person's vote ought to be heard and counted in every election. Well, these are my thoughts for today. And again, whether you agree or disagree, please verify the information presented. Thank you. And until next time, take care and be safe.
Me na do it.
Ooh.